Central Florida Gardening Show.
Hey Chris, welcome to my survival garden for city slickers. What we have here is a raised bed garden that would be typical of the concept of garden that I promote for food production for gardeners in the city. And as you can see, it's about 5 by 9 or so, and we have just aerated this garden 2 shovels deep, and heavily moved this all around, leveled it out really carefully, and now we're about ready to water this. What we're going to do as we water it in is create a crust on top of the soil, and that crust will moisten in after it's been watered. We're going to break the soil. Well, we'll plant so we'll break the soil again. We'll water it in, and we'll just put holes in this central crust where we're going to put our plantings. That heavily limits the weeds that would naturally occur if that crust was not on the soil. Our objective here at Survival Gardens is to produce food, and that is why I wrote this book, which was essentially started to be a journal for my children. See, I have lived through 5 recessions in my life, and I have found that each recession in some cases worse and worse until the last one, the Great Recession. And so I'm afraid that my children need to know how to produce food in urban settings. So I set out to look at it. It took me 5 years to get it figured out. I made all kinds of mistakes. I didn't grow. I had plants that burned up. I had plants that produced no fruit at all. And so after a significant amount of effort, I figured out how to grow food for the very first time. That's what this book represents. How to produce food in an urban setting each and every time, the first time. So you don't have to wait to figure it out, or do as I did, spend 5 years learning how to be a gardener. We're potentially not going to have that kind of luxury. There may be a time when we have to all of us grow food and tables one to the next to help each other. That's what this book is designed to do, is teach you how to be a successful gardener right out of the box, not knowing anything about gardening each and every first time. That's it from the Survival Garden, and thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you. Going one last time, why don't you tell us the title of the book, and then go ahead and repeat your name.
I'm Scott Cross. This book is called Survival Gardening for City Slickers, and it is a book designed specifically to produce food in the urban setting.
How about availability? Where can you get this book?
It's available in every major market online. You can get it as a download on Kindle, you can get it as a hard copy on eBay, you can get it as a hard copy through Amazon.com and all the major booksellers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Hey, Chris, welcome back to Survival Gardening for City Slickers. As you can see, our garden bed is ready, and it's been about 4 weeks since you've been here, and we're delighted to have you back. Thanks for coming. What we're going to do now is we're going to plant this, but I wanted to show you how we do the garden layout for production. In this case, we'll call it pre-production, because we're going to do our pre-plantings until these seedlings all come out. Then we're going to put them all in small cups until they grow a little bit hardier. Then we're going to replant so that we get the most production for the size of the garden that we have. Let me show you in just a minute what we'll plant them in. I always use these. These are like little bathroom drink cups. These are made out of paper. They're totally green. They don't have any chemicals or anything on them. They do have wax on them. Otherwise, they're made out of, in a lot of cases, even recycled paper. These are like 2.5 ounces, and when these seedlings come out, I'll take them all out and put them in a big tray, and then I'll go turn on a movie and just replant them in these cups. And one of the things that I found was really helpful is I lay the soil on one side of the cup and turn it sideways and plant the plant in sideways so that the root went down to the bottom of the cup, and put the rest of the soil in, and then I stand it up, and that way the root gets covered with the soil and it isn't right next to the edge of the cup. I like it a little more centered so it has a little room to grow for the roots to grow out. Anyway, these are really great. They tear apart real easily when you're ready to transplant. So you'll find these little cups are just perfect for pre-growing for your early season growth. Now what we're going to do is show you this layout. What we have here is we have about a 5 by 9 garden bed. And this garden bed is already labeled, and I'll show you one of these labels. For example, in this row we're going to plant tomatoes. So I've taken a regular shim that you get at any hardware store. I wrote tomatoes on it and I put it in the ground here. That will last several seasons. It really strong, and of course it's not this paper envelope, so it will last throughout the entire growing season. And I won't lose track of what I have here. Now, these are regular tomatoes, and as I say in my book, Survival Gardening for City Slickers, save these because the backs of these envelopes have a tremendous amount of information for such a small space. It really help a gardener be successful the very first time, and of course that's what Survival Gardening for City Slickers is all about. Growing food you can eat the very first year you plant your garden. Let me show you how I do this. Now I'm just going to crawl along this box here so that we can see one another, and just give you an idea what these seeds are. This is, again, this particular tomato is it is a hybrid. Again, I'm not a hobbyist for pure seeds. I'm a hobbyist for food seeds. So my orientation is to grow as much food as you possibly can out of a given space. And we're just going to go ahead and plant these almost one at a time by hand, about every 2 inches apart, easy enough so that I can get the roots apart. If you grow them real close together, and I have done that by accident before, they're so close together that that you have to untangle the roots to transplant them to other gardens. You can see they're going in. This is about the right number. It looks like it's just about right for what we got. Put another one right there. And as you can see, I have this little groove here. Let me show you what I made it with. I use this 3/4 by 3/4 stick, and I just lay it on the garden bed, and I rock it back and forth, and then draw it across, and I get this perfect little 1/2 inch ditch, which is about the planting depth of most seeds. Now that these are in, I just carefully cover them up by hand, and as you can see, they get covered. And then I'm going to just pat this down a little bit so that in the first watering they don't get washed out, because seeds are lighter than soil, and if you water it heavy the very first time you water, they'll virtually float out of the soil. So you're better off to do light waterings for several times before you water your seeds heavily. Okay, well that's that row. Why don't we plant another one? Hey Chris, as I said, we'll do another planting of another row. This is lettuce, as you can see. Again, just a shim marked with lettuce. It lasts a long time. Put that right in the ground. And this groove is already cut here. It's about 1/2 to 3/8 of an inch deep. And these are the lettuce seeds. You probably won't even be able to see them in my hand. They're just tiny little flakes. They almost look like dirty flakes. I'll try to give you a little bit of a close-up, but they're little teeny tiny, and because they're so small, I'm not going to be as concerned. I'm just going to go ahead and plant and drag this across, and I'm going to just go ahead and let a lot of seeds fall in here. Seeds are real inexpensive. What's more expensive is the time if they don't work, so you want to make sure you get plenty. Again, I'm just sort of covering the bottom of that row with the seeds. It's way too many. It's okay. better too many than not enough. Here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and turn this in. Again, this row is 3/8 to 1/2 inch deep. And we have seeds not even a 1/2 inch apart here, down that whole row. And I'll go ahead and pat those in. And I think I have this garden set up for a second row, so we'll do a second row of lettuce. So we'll just go ahead and again plant and drag as we go along. And these are going in. I'm sure you can't see it as easily from the camera because they're so tiny. But and I actually have way more than I need in both of these rows. But we're gonna do it anyway. As I say, our objective is to be successful gardeners, and if we shoot a little heavy and get a little more plants, that's better than not shooting heavy enough and not having food, because our objective is to grow food. Okay, now we have this row and this row in. They're both lettuce. And so now what will happen is, when we lightly water these in, and again, don't water heavy the first time. The seeds will float out of the soil if you water too heavy. Water lightly several times, then these will come up. And when they do come up, I'll transplant them into small cups, 2.5 inch cups like we spoke about earlier. And I'll give away a lot of those to my neighbors. And so my whole neighborhood will have lettuce all the season long. And I'm happy to give it to them, but I won't have room for them in my garden. Hey Chris, welcome back to City Slicker Gardens here in Winter Park, Florida. This is a garden based on my book, Survival Gardening for City Slickers, available at all the major booksellers and as downloads. This garden is already planted, and as you can see, I've used shingles to mark each of the rows, and this garden has been planted about 2 days now. And one of the remarkable things about it is that I have 2 rows of radishes in here, and these radishes are already starting to come up and seed. And it'll be a little bit difficult to see because they're so new and so small, but right there's part of the row of radishes actually beginning to pop out and grow. Now, one thing that's very important about radishes is try not to thin them too much. I have much better luck with regular red round radishes rather than exotic radishes. And when you plant them close together, let them grow close together. You'll get much more yield if you just leave them alone. Don't try and transplant them. Let them grow close together and just thin them out as you eat them. But otherwise, just let them grow close together and you'll get really good results. Radishes are great for children because they come up so fast, and the kids get a big kick out of watching them grow.
Thanks for stopping in.